my weekly checks. You check your pump basket. This is where you're adding your chlorine sticks to. This is your chlorinator.
Right.
You know, and there's a pressure on the filter here that will kind of give you a backwash pressure and a base pressure, so you'll know when to backwash the pool as well. And you stay on those on a weekly basis when you're checking your chemicals. Usually you can do it all in about 30 to 45 minutes, in a week.
Okay.
Just to show you, as far as that is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and open that back up. But we can shut down the pump. And again, this is when I use the service mode. Hit the mode button once, that way you know nobody can be turning anything on with the remote. Once we do this, there's many different ways that people do with valves. Usually you do not want to turn the off towards the pump when the pump is running. You're not going to get it any water.
Right.
But for the purposes of opening the basket, once the pump is off, I always like to turn mine there. We're introducing air into the system, that way nothing falls back to the pool and makes it more difficult to prime the motor back up. So it's just a matter of a little bit of a tap. It can be kind of difficult. Rubber mallet sometimes will make it a little bit easier.
Okay.
Lid comes off, the basket just falls right out. You can see that's just a little bit of Pebble Tech.
Yep.
Kind of, that we've got. A little bit of silicone, just basic.
Yeah, there was a frog in there.
There was?
Yeah.
His guys must have...
He was partly pulled through it.
Was he in over the weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, he must have got...
I think he was in there on startup.
Finished up all the way. He probably was. They
Yeah.
They don't like the chlorine very much, so you'll see. The higher the chlorine, the more floating frogs you'll have compared to swimming frogs. So, and I did see a couple of skimmer chlorine tabs in the skimmer baskets.
Yeah.
Remnants. I'm going to take those out.
Okay.
We don't need,
because we're way too high at this point.
High. We don't need to add any extra.
Yep.
So depending on your level of OCD, that's nothing there. A lot of people, whatever you want to do with it is.
But as long as you can see the bottom of the basket. As
you can see the bottom, usually you're not impeding any flow.
Okay.
Biggest thing, you've got a little slide on the inside of the pump here that's going to align with this notch. So when you're putting it back in, if it goes sideways and you're trying to have to force it, all your debris is not going to go into the basket. It's going to get in and clog your impeller and cause you a flow issue. So basically, you see that nice 1/2 inch all the way around. It sits down real easy. You're not having to force anything. And then putting the lid back on, if you start too close in a different spot, that's going to hit.
It's not going to get tight
enough. So you always want it to kind of end where your handles are perpendicular to the pump. And you don't have to really press it down too tight. Just snug is pretty good.
Okay.
Okay. To get it back going and reprime back up, I will hit the mode button twice. That goes to timeout mode. Pump turns back on. I'll open my valve pretty quick.
Yep.
And you can see almost immediately we're already primed back up.
Okay.
So closing that valve definitely makes a difference. This is your water temperature sensor.
Yep.
We're coming up out of the pump and into the filter. Once we're coming out of the filter, we're going back towards, so this is the backwash line actually. Yes. Going back towards the pool. This is your cleaner booster pump. So you always will have some water going through it even when the booster pump is not on.
Yes.
And then we split back to your last valve, which we've got your pool reject returns and the waterfall return. Let me get those labeled up for you real quick. How are we doing on time? We're getting close to...
Oh, we're...
9 o'clock.
Yeah,
You guys still doing okay?
Yeah, we need to take whatever time is necessary to learn this. So.
Definitely. I just wanted to make sure we weren't...
If I don't get to the chiropractor today, and there's always tomorrow.
Name this one Cool Jets. And I think you've got two to three. I'll have to take a look for sure. And this one is going to be the
there's three. Well, do you count the port for the cleaner or not?
I don't count the cleaner because it's on a separate pipe here. That's your dedicated cleaner line.
Yeah.
Usually, did they hit water when they dug the pool?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So then the center one's going to be a return. So if you do add a heater, you're going to be helping heat the pool from the bottom,
okay.
which is going to help efficiency for sure.
Absolutely.
He definitely always likes to put one down there. You've got one here.
What's this one here?
And that's your autofill.
That's autofill.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
There's
And
one there, one here, and then there's one up there.
This one and the one underneath that skimmer are static lines. They're equalizers. So if your water level ever goes below the tile, it's going to let water into the bottom of the skimmer.
Okay.
So that one is going to be static line. You'll never feel anything coming in or out of that one.
All right.
But it's there for safety purposes, so your pump won't pull dry if it ever goes below the tile line. So pretty much you're going to have the one on the floor and this one, and then I think your waterfall acts as your last one up top there to kind of help push a little bit of debris over towards the skimmer as well. Autofill, they've got that hooked up. I'm sure your valve to turn off and on is right here.
Right.
Okay, just going to be a
It almost needs to have a riser put on it.
just going to be a ball valve. Yes, it's quite low. They could probably just put another box right on top of that one.
Yep, I'm
Like
thinking
it's got a
so.
red ball valve that will
Okay.
off and on.
All right.
Okay, and usually it's hooked to the main line of the irrigation. You guys have irrigation?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ran it off of the water line in the house.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you won't be shutting it off.
And I've got a shut off right there
Perfect.
for it too.
That's
So
perfect.
is that all that's down there is a shut off?
Yep, that's it.
So I don't have to get to that very
Nope.
often then because I can do
You
it
can
in
always
there.
use it from inside.
Yeah. Then there's no
Definitely.
sense putting a riser on it.
Nope. If you got one inside, then you'll be just fine. Usually it's definitely better
Alright.
for winter time.
So during the winter, I just shut that off.
I would definitely shut it off pressure-wise if we're getting a super cold snap, you know.
Okay.
If you're going out of town and want to keep it on, you can even just put some towels, whatever you can to kind of keep some heat in there. But, you know, definitely safer.
Because now when I turn it off, will it hold?
It'll release the pressure,
But it doesn't empty it.
but it won't empty.
But we're all plastic lined, so
Yes,
hopefully
all
it can't
PVC,
freeze it.
and that's
blow it.
deep. You know, you're
Yeah.
you're at least a foot down. The rest of it's under concrete. That's going to be your most susceptible area
Yeah.
in that box. You know, for sure.
Okay.
So, but usually having the pressure off of it usually makes all the difference in the world.
All right.
You know, once we get to that cold time, you've got some different settings on top of our filter here, just to show you what we're looking at, as well as a pressure gauge on this side. The pressure is going to be, you're going to have two different pressures. One when the waterfall is running, one when it's not. So if the waterfall is running consistently, then that's the pressure we'll probably want to go by as far as a base pressure. If we turn the waterfall off, the pressure is going to change because we're changing the amount of water flow, different outlets, that sort of thing. So with it being about as new as it is, we'll go ahead and do a backwash today to see if it changes at all, just to show you exactly what we're doing with one.
Yep.
But you got a start pressure and kind of a clean filter pressure. So you don't have to wait till it gets there. Most of the time you'll probably see the waterfall kind of start to, you saw it the one day, I mean it was hitting the rock, but it just won't be as powerful as it normally is as we start to get a little bit backed up in the filter.
Well, Jeff was saying something though that once the filter starts to get a little bit plugged, it actually does a better job.
It does.
So where is that range at that's optimum?
I would say, and we'll go ahead and do one just to see if our base pressure drops at all real quick, and give us like a base and then a backwash pressure for you. So if you want to, we can turn off the
service mode.
Yep, hit the service mode, it'll be perfect. This one you can't. I mean, you have to have the pump off before turning this handle.
Yeah, otherwise it's too much
a
pressure.
gasket. I mean, it's going to throw it out of the gasket, and it tells you there, but it's not very different in color. Harder to see. But once we get the pump off, I'm going to go all the way down and rotate 180 degrees to backwash. To activate the backwash, we'll need to turn the pump back on. We can just hit the filter pump button, the first one, the F.
The F.
And this will kind of be like your time guide of how long to backwash. If it's dirty, I'll put my hand over it so we get rid of the bubbles. You can see it a little bit better. If it's real dirty, this is where you're going to see it.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to start to see it going real. When they first did them over the weekend, they were extremely cloudy. Right now, we're really not getting too much of a cloud. It doesn't look really too bad. So I would say on average, when you're backwashing, minute to a minute and a half.
Okay.
Since we're looking pretty good, we can probably go ahead and shut it off. And then after the backwash, we turn off the pump, but I like to go to rinse. Anything we just stirred up, we're going to rinse out so that we don't shoot a cloud of debris back towards the pool.
So then hit
and
the filter.
And then pump back on, that's correct. The rinse should always be really clear. And I usually rinse about half as long as I backwash. It's anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds, depending on how long you backwash.
Okay.
Just for another second here. All right, we can turn it back off. And then back to filter. And that's it.
Okay,
that's
and then
backwash.
we kick it on and see what our start pressure is.
So, with the waterfall and everything running, you're just at about 15 pounds, maybe just a hair over. So that's pretty much, you won't see it go much lower than that unless we don't have, well, waterfall's not running. Let's go ahead and turn the waterfall. Just hit your waterfall button there for manual. Did they give you one?
There we go.
Okay. It's turning. Yeah, let's make sure that's not going to change our pressure. It might go up just a little bit here.
Yeah, there she goes.
Yeah.
Probably closer to 20 again,
Okay.
huh?
Yeah, we're looking at about 18, 19. So base pressure, I would definitely take that if it's running the most, you know, as our base pressure. So we're wanting to backwash, I'd say anywhere close to probably about 28 to 30 pounds. You're going to be pretty close to that, but you can always do it just a little bit earlier. So I would say 28 pounds PSI would be perfect for a backwash.
Okay.
You do have a couple other options. On the pool, there is an overflow, which is the gray grate in the tile on the deep end.
Yeah.
We get the rain, it's just going to go right out, static line. If anything ever happens to that, you've got a waste feature.
Oh, okay.
On the filter, which basically water comes in from the pump, bypasses the filter, and just drains straight from the pool.
Okay.
If you ever need to.
All right.
You have a recirculate feature as well, which basically, if you're ever going to use it, it bypasses the filter. Say maybe you had a cracked filter plug or something like that, and you wanted it to still run and circulate, everything would look the same.
Right. Until you could get it fixed.
Right.
Okay.
You can put it in recirculate, water comes into the port, straight back to the pool, it just bypasses the filter.
Okay.
The last one is closed, you'll probably never use that. Won't let water move in any direction.
Okay.
98% of the time you're in filter, every other time you're kind of just backwashing or using as necessary, whatever feature it is that you need.
All right.
So I'd say about every 5 years you're looking at changing the sand in the filter.
Okay.
That'll be a good average. Let me go ahead and show you the chlorinator. And we'll see exactly how many tabs that we've got in here. So before we even start, it looks like just to show you, there's a flow dial on this side. It goes from like 0 to full. I think we're right at about a 5.5 or 6.5 right now.
Okay.
Yes, about a 5.5 on the flow. So what we want to do, this is going to be your daily flow of chlorine to the pool. Slow everyday feed of chlorine to the pool. Shocking the pool is like your immediate way of getting there. It's a granular that you would pre-dissolve and throw it in. So if you're ever at 0, you would shock a pool to get the chlorine in immediately. And these are your slow, consistent daily flow. Shocking is not a necessity you don't have to do it. Usually the times that I see it are when you don't have a chlorine level in the pool, if you're at 0, or maybe you have a huge party and you've got 30 plus people in it over the weekend. After the party's over, you can shock it, because that'll definitely make a difference in the chlorine level in the pool if you have that many people in. But it's not a necessity to do it if you're keeping up a good level with the sticks and the chlorinator.
Yeah. Now, can you anticipate something like that? Say you were going to have a lot of people over. Can you boost it up ahead of time?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Definitely. Definitely. I'm going to go ahead and turn that flow dial to off. And then we've got a little push-in clip.
And it's new, so it's tight.
A little bit stuck. That'll definitely kind of work out. And you probably, I usually don't put my head like right over it just in case. Sometimes there can be an issue with it. If you ever see any yellow, like immediately, put the top back on and click it back down, because it'll start to get really strong. Okay, so if it's, I mean, it's clear. You can kind of smell it a little bit from where we're at. So I'm never like right above it. If it's got good flow, you're not going to have a problem with smelling it like that. But sometimes there's like a little check valve on this outside. It's a little ball that lets water go one way but not the other.
Yeah.
And sometimes those can get stuck through just some chlorine gas creating the stickiness and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I always kind of just make sure I'm aware of what it looks like. If it's bright yellowish, it's going to be really strong. It'll burn your eyes. So
now, will we smell that out here too? Is that a gauge too? Kind of the smell of the chlorine in the water?
Well, yes. You know what it is. If you're starting to smell chlorine in water, it's a whole nother product. It's basically the buildup of chloramines. It's a byproduct of chlorine. So lots of times, just because the chlorine's high doesn't mean you'll necessarily smell it. Because it was pretty high over the weekend, and you guys probably didn't smell it much.
No.
So that's a common misconception. That's a whole nother thing that's kind of creeping up. But most of it, it'd probably be a little bit of burn of the eyes, but the pH really has the most effect on the eyes as well. If that's way out of range, then your eyes will kind of start to burn a little bit as well. So you've got remnants. This one fits there's all kinds of different shapes and sizes, fits any of them. Okay, the sizes, whether they're sticks or pucks, it's not going to matter. You can use either one with the chlorinator. Those are about half gone as far as the size of those right now. So what we'll do is I'll leave those in there, and I'll probably just slow down that flow. Probably turn it down to about a 4, just to slow down the flow chlorine to the pool, because we're a little bit high still. I don't want it to sit in there with no flow, because then it'll gas, and you don't want to even deal with that. So we'll kind of just slowly feed it until those are gone, and keep an eye on what the chlorine level is doing over the next week and a half or so. I wouldn't add anything until you start to see it come down to around a 3 or a 2.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Where we can keep that consistent flow going. Just to give you an idea, last month when it was just, the water temperatures were crazy. It was really hot. Your size pool, you'd probably be going through about 5 to 6 sticks a week. Okay? And you want them dissolved at the end of the week. You don't want them all left. And so that's kind of where that flow dial is going to be. I think that you're going to be in between a 4 and a 6, pretty consistently to dissolve them in a weekly fashion. As we start getting closer to winter and the water really cools down, the sticks don't dissolve very much at all. So we get to the point where this little black hose won't move enough water in the wintertime to keep from freezing, so we'll want to bypass the chlorinator altogether. And they usually leave you enough hose, they did. So basically, once you get to the point in the wintertime where it's not dissolving the sticks and you don't need it anyways, we want to get it off so we don't have a problem with this unit freezing and cracking. You can shut everything down on your service mode. The easiest way for you to do it is that they left you enough hose. I think it's kind of been a little bit buried. But if we take off this port here, it just unscrews and the hose pulls out. And then you're going to take this one off. And basically you're going to put a hose
from there to there.
To there to there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
And there on the chlorinator itself, it does tell you right here there's an in and an out. So when it comes to rehooking it back up, you can definitely call me, but the in is always going to go closest to the pump.
Okay.
And the out feed is going to be on the return side going towards the pool.
All right.
Okay? But we'll definitely want to bypass it. That's probably looking mid to late November. Where the sticks won't be dissolving anymore, will be cold enough, and you'll want to go ahead and take that off of the loop.
Okay.
To save the chlorinator. The best way is to empty it, usually I find, is like a sponge. Or a little shot vac. You got a little shot vac?
Yeah, I got a little shot vac.
Stick it in there and drain it out.
I actually got a siphon too from a kerosene heater that works.
There you go. That would be fine.
That thing has saved my